fellow makeup lovers, welcome back to another day of Indie Miss. Today we are starting a brand new series on my channel that I'm really excited about. I hope will be helpful for y'all. I was trying to think of content that I could do to help fill some of the void when it comes to YouTube videos on comparisons of indie makeup products. So I feel like that's one of the things I get commented on most. That's one of the things I feel like I get comments most, like I wonder about this versus this and this versus that, and always individually it doesn't feel like enough for a full video. So I thought that I would do a this or that series. I don't know if that name has ever been used before, but I just thought it kind of worked. If you're trying to choose between two different products and you guys can do submissions, you can go ahead and comment down below in the comment section if there's two products that you're trying to decide between and you want me to throw them in a future this or that video. This one, I just got my submissions from Instagram. Basically, the idea is just to take two products, whether it be two palettes, two blushes, two single eyeshadows, give you kind of a background on the price, shipping information, discount codes, swatches, and how they compare and who I would recommend each product for, if there's pros, cons, what formula I like better, just to help you guys out, because I know you're not trying to buy all the makeup. You want to buy the makeup that is right for you. So the very first submission was from Makeup with Lainey. They said Halo from Cleona versus Phoenix from Terra Moons. I've heard they are dupes, but not sure. So I own both of those shadows. Let's go ahead and talk about them. First, we have Cleona Halo, which is a really beautiful shade. It kind of has an orange, green, golden shift going on. It is very beautiful, and it's a little bit of a thinner formula, very sparkly. So this one retails for $14.80 US dollars. That's approximate because they are sold in Canada. I think it's 17 Canadian dollars, but I would also keep in mind with the price that it depends on where you live. I know majority of my viewers are in the US, so the shipping from Canada is a little bit more expensive than the shipping from Terra Moons, which is based in the US. And also I would keep in mind that with Cleona right now, their shipping time is, I believe, 5 to 20 business days, but this eyeshadow is in stock and available now. It's 1.5 grams, and I believe that you can get a discount code. Cleona has discount codes. I have an indie discount code list down below in case you're curious, and I think that you can save an extra 10% off if I remember correctly. I'm not sure if it excludes some of the stained glass collection, but this one is really beautiful. So now moving on to the shade Phoenix from Terra Moons. I would say it's not a color dupe. It has less green and more gold, and the formula is not a dupe either. This is one of the most intense shades that Terra Moons has ever made. It is so metallic. The way that it catches the light is unbelievable. I mean, you'll see it in the swatch. It's just ridiculous. So I really love the formula of this one. If I had to recommend between the two, I would personally go with Phoenix from Terra Moons. If you're looking for an extremely intense inner corner highlighter, I mean, you could use it all over the lid shade, but if you want it to be less intense, then I would go with the Cleona. So this retails for $17, and currently I believe they have a pre-order that ships February 15th available. And actually, I don't know exactly how much product is in here. It's just a standard 26mm pan, but they didn't have it on the website and they don't have it on the pan. For Terra Moons, I do have a discount code AMYLOVES that'll save you a little bit of money off. So let's go ahead and do some swatches. Here is what Halo looks like from Cleona. I mean, you can see the orangey red decently well right now. And then here is what Phoenix looks like. I mean, Phoenix has a little bit more of a blue base and it has more of an orange versus Halo, which has more of a red. Just looking at them in the light here now. I mean, they're both so beautiful, but Phoenix, like, I just feel very passionately about how pretty it is. So just to show you what they look like next to one another. Yeah, I feel like you can see that pretty well. I personally would not consider these two dupes. If you're looking for a dupe for Cleona Halo, that red giant is a little bit closer. So the next submission is from Nona Bellion, and they said Nabla Wild Berry Palette versus Colourpop Orchid You Not, which I think is a pretty good comparison to go ahead and make. So let's talk about these two. So this is the Nabla Cutie palette in the shade Wild Berry. It's just a little 6-pan palette. There are 3 true matte shades. There's like a satin matte kind of hybrid. It works as a matte, but it does have just like a little tiny bit of like a sheeny like texture to it. It's very interesting because it doesn't necessarily have any sparkles or anything, but it's just not a true matte either. And there's also 2 different duochrome shimmers. This palette is vegan. It retails for $24 and it has 0.28 ounces of product. It's available on Ulta now, and I do really like this one. I think that it's a very cute little color story. I feel like as far as a berry palette goes, it does give you a berry vibe, but it's not like the most berry palette that I've ever used, because you do have like more of like this orangey pink kind of duochrome. You've got a really bright kind of like magenta. You've got this shimmer, which is like a pink purple kind of more sheer duochrome. So I feel like if you are looking for a very condensed palette, if you're looking for berry but not just berry, like not very like monotone, then maybe this one might be for you. I would say I really like the shimmers in here. I think they have a really pretty sparkly texture. But personally, if I had to choose, I would go with the Orchid You Not palette, and I'll explain why, but let me just tell you about it really quickly in case you haven't seen it before. Here's what Colourpop Orchid You Not looks like. So this one retails for $14. There are 9 different shades and there's 0.3 ounces of product. So there's more shades, but the product amount is about the same. I don't love the packaging on this one as much because it is plastic. So I feel like the Nabla one just feels a little bit cuter, looks a little bit cuter. So the thing with this palette, and especially when comparing it to the Nabla one, is that this is to me much more of like a true like berry plummy purple palette. Like I feel like all the tones here are just right. I wouldn't necessarily say that this is monotone in a boring way because there is a little bit of differentiation, but overall like any look you're gonna do with this is going to be very purple. I also feel like Nabla has a great formula, but this is one of the best palettes that Colourpop has done in my humble opinion. So when comparing the mattes, honestly, I would rather go for the mattes in the Colourpop palette just based on the coloring, but also I just feel like the depth is here. Like it's just a bit deeper, it's a bit richer, like there's more options when it comes to the mattes, and there's also more options when it comes to the shimmers. I really love, you know, you've got like the kind of like the berry pinky shade, you've got this berry purple shade, you've kind of got like a taupey, like lavendery silver inner corner type shade. So I just feel personally for me that this is what I would gravitate towards most. I feel like the shimmers from Nabla are a little bit more sparkly, maybe a little bit more intense on the eyes. I mean, I guess it really does just come down to color preference with these two. I think that they're both great palettes. So just to compare anything that's super similar, I know I showed the swatches separately. I feel like even looking at it, there's not that many colors that are really repeating between these two. So I feel like we could compare Blackberry and Nuh-Uh real quick. And then even Bubolic, no, that says Bucolic. Bubolic, that was a plague. Even Bucolic is a lot lighter and just different than the tones that are in here. So let's just do Blackberry and Nuh-Uh real quick. Hopefully this will just show you really quickly. I mean, those shades are pretty much spot on with each other. I went into both pans about like 3 circles. So here is what Blackberry looks like. Looks pretty smooth. And then here's Nuh-Uh. So, I mean, you can see I am not over exaggerating. Colourpop is killing it with these mattes in this palette. Like that just looks so pretty, so smooth. I mean, it ends up being just a touch deeper. Okay, so the next submission is from My Life as Maddie. They said Rare Beauty Cream Blush versus Tower 28 Blush. So I do have one of each of these. The shades are not similar at all with these. I'm not really going to be talking about the shades all that much. I just wanted to, oh, hey. Oh wow, that's beautiful.
I got a rifle.
my son wanted to show his coloring. Where was I? So I'm going to be just focusing on the details on the product and then talking about the formula and who I would recommend them for. So both of these are actually vegan formulas, but let's just go ahead and start off with Rare Beauty. So I have the shade Nearly Neutral. Here's what it looks like. This retails for $21. It has 0.17 ounces of product. There are 5 shades on the Sephora website. This blush, I would say, is an extremely natural blush, and I would also go as far as to say that I wouldn't necessarily recommend this to someone who doesn't have like a light or a medium skin tone. I just feel like the pigmentation on this is a little bit lacking. If you are not willing to sit there and build it up and build it up and build it up, it's just not going to show up that well. It actually has a habit of tending to kind of blend into nothing. That's how I feel about it. So I'll show you really quick, just dab my finger in here. You know, on my finger, I mean, it looks like that's like a really nice amount of pigmentation. That was loud. But I'll just show you. I'll go ahead and put it on my skin. That's all that I got from it. So it's definitely a very light formula. It's not that pigmented of a blush. If you're going for Rare Beauty and you want to try their blushes, I would go for their cream blushes, or sorry, like their like liquid cream blushes, the ones that are in the cute little tubes, versus this formula, because I just feel like it's not delivering a ton of pigment. It's something you're gonna have to build up. So on the other hand, if you are someone who likes a very natural blush, you don't like a lot, you just want to add just a tiny little bit of color to the cheeks, then this formula could be nice for you. I also find it to dry down pretty matte. I wouldn't say that it's like super glowy. It doesn't really give like that creamy cheek kind of look. So personally, it's not my favorite. I don't hate it. I actually love the packaging on it. I think it's so cute. But if I were to rank all my cream blushes, it would be very low compared to a lot of other things. And I think it's just because like I love the idea, even with my super fair skin, to grab a cream blush and just like do a little dab and just like blend it in real quick and be done, because it's just so easy. Whereas with this, yes, it blends easy, but it blends away. So pros and cons. Then let's talk about the Tower 28 blush. The one that I have is in the shade Golden Hour, which is a really beautiful orange, slightly corally shade, but I would say overall just a beautiful orange cream blush. So this one is very similar in price. It's $20. It has 0.16 ounces of product. So again, similar amount of product. And there are 6 shades of this available on the Sephora website. Mine did come a little bit gritty, which is kind of strange and like something I just want to note, although it doesn't actually affect the performance at all. So I'll just show you real quick. Okay, just a little dab. The pigmentation, I mean, the shades actually don't look that far off from each other, even though I didn't think that they would be very close. So I'll show you Tower 28 right here next to it. Look at that pigment. So I feel like it's actually fun to compare these two, because Tower 28's blushes are just so pigmented and they're just so different. So I feel like this is a really easy comparison to make, because what your preference is on pigmentation with blush is going to make it super easy to choose. Tower 28, I would recommend for any skin tone. I would recommend, you know, if you like a pigmented cream blush. I still feel like it blends out really beautifully. I feel like it has a little bit more of a like satin natural finish versus the Rare Beauty one, which tends to be a little bit more matte. So I mean, overall, you can see my personal preference would be the Tower 28 just for my makeup and how I like to wear it, but I think that they could both be good just depending on you and what you like. And then the last comparison I'm gonna go ahead and do for today is another eyeshadow palette comparison. So this was from CR Winds. They said Glam Light Dirty Martini and Ace Beaute Tropical Vibes. Let's go ahead and start off with Ace Beaute Tropical Vibes. Here is what this palette looks like. So I think it is absolutely stunning. So this one retails for $38.99. I do have a discount code with Ace Beaute. I can't remember off the top of my head. I think it just saves you 10%, but it does bring down the price just a little bit. So there are 15 different shades in here. It is a very matte heavy palette. There's only 3 shimmer shades, but I feel like the formula of this palette's phenomenal. I have a full review and 3 looks and a first impression. If you want to see all of that, I'll have it linked down below. I'll try and link any videos that are pertaining to anything that I talked about in this video, but it's a very matte heavy palette and it's a very grungy green palette. I would say overall everything's green. The only time that you're kind of steering away from that is this like pop of teal and a pop of orange. Unfortunately, if you're interested in this one, it is currently out of stock, but I love it. I feel like the shimmers are just super sparkly, super pretty. Even though you only get 3 of them, they all look so beautiful with every look you could do with this palette. The mattes blend really nice, and it's just the best when it comes to very grungy greens. Like if you like murky, dirty greens, then this is the palette for you. I feel like everything you could need matte wise is here, and there's just so many options. It makes me really happy. So in comparison, we have the Glam Light Dirty Martini palette, which just looks like this. I like the packaging less on this one, but here's what it looks like. This one retails for $35. Again, I do have a, oh, I think I said discount code, I'm sorry. My code for Ace Beaute's affiliate and my code for Glam Light's affiliate as well is just AMYLOVES, and I believe it saves you 15% off Glam Light. So it retails for $35, but you can definitely get it at a lower price. This formula also is vegan. So this is another 15 pan green eyeshadow palette, but this one is very shimmer heavy, which I feel again kind of makes this comparison a little bit easier. I actually think, just spoiler alert, that these would be such beautiful companion palettes together. I didn't even realize till I was looking at them, but I think that they would be so cute like that. So I'll show you what they look like side by side in a second, but just to tell you, the formula here, I would say I really like the shimmer formula. It's super sparkly, super beautiful. There's lots of different options that perfectly go with this kind of like green, olivey color story between the nice pops of like bluey teal. You've got oranges. Yes. Oh wow, that's so cute. Very important. This is what you guys came to my channel for. There's also a few different olivey tones. There's like a gray green shimmer, which is really interesting. So I feel like shimmer wise, this palette is killing it. Matte wise, I feel like the mattes in here are a little bit less special. It's not my favorite formula from Glam Light, but other than that, just in tone, I feel like they're a little bit less grungy, a little bit more just like true greens going on. And also there's not a super deep matte shade. As deep as it's gonna get is this shade here, which is not that deep. Or you have this one, but again, that's kind of colorful and it pulls more like bright and blue on the eyes. So yeah, I would say I like this one, but I'm not as passionate about it. I think that this is for more of a shimmer lover, that maybe you don't care as much about having grungy matte eyeshadows and you just want to have green, but you want to have more options. Like I said, this one does have a really great amount of options when it comes to all the different shimmers. I feel like you could do so many looks with this palette and they would end up looking different from one another. Whereas the Ace Beaute is kind of all like along that like grungy vibe. So just to show you again what they look like side by side, I think that they would complement each other really well. I know this is not the answer you wanted. You're like, help me pick between one. Don't convince me to buy both. But here's what they look like. So the reason I think that they would go well together is because the tones in the Ace Beaute palette are just so much more grungy that I feel like the mattes aren't really repeating, other than like the chartreuse shade and like maybe like one matte is repeating. You also have the deepening shade here, which I think is really nice to pull into looks. And then when it comes to the shimmers, I feel like all the shimmers that the Ace Beaute palette is missing, the Dirty Martini palette covers. You've got all those beautiful like olive shimmers, which is the one gripe that I have with the Ace Beaute palette, is that it does not have a true olive shimmer. You've got 2 different golds and then like this really beautiful like deep kind of teal, which I think would actually go along really well with this section here. So I think those would be so cute together. Even the shade green olive here, I feel like compared to the chartreuse shade, the chartreuse is quite a bit lighter and brighter. Only thing I'm really seeing here that I feel like is super similar is this green shade versus this green shade. But I guess let's just do that real quick. Yeah, that's actually pretty amazing, like looking between these two. I mean, I guess I could do, I'm gonna do the like teal shimmer shade beside each other. I think the one in the Ace Beaute is a little bit deeper, but we'll do that too, just so you can see a shimmer versus a shimmer. But here, oh gosh, okay, here's Glam Light matte, which is not quite as pigmented. And then there's the Ace Beaute one. Okay, I'm gonna do a little bit more of Glam Light because the shade is very similar. It's just this one's a little bit less pigmented. Even there too, you can see this one looks so grungy, but the Ace Beaute palette is just grungier. It looks murkier. And then here is Seychelles from Ace Beaute and Gin from Glam Light. Gin is just a little bit lighter, but I actually feel like the shimmer formula between these two are pretty similar. Like, I don't know if you can tell. I mean, obviously they're different shades, but does it not look like the way that they shine, the way that they sparkle, it looks like they could have came from the same palette. Like, I feel like the shimmer formulas are kind of on par with one another. So that's my comparison. I feel like for me, if I had to choose between these two, I would choose Tropical Vibes just because I want more of those grungy tones. But again, I think it really depends on if you want a little bit more true green, a little bit more variety, a little bit more shimmer, or if you want the grungy tones and more mattes. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it was helpful. If there are two products that you've been dying to see compared, you've been overthinking, trying to decide which one's right for you, please feel free to comment down below, and I will do more of these in the future if it's well received. Fingers crossed that it is, but we'll see. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.